keep being natural, and then action.
Welcome, novices. Yeah, how are you boys this week?
Excellent. Are you?
Yeah, I'm tired. Still in Brazil, and we're staying in a big house at the moment in the Faria Lima district of Sao Paulo, and just behind me actually. So I'm in. We're basically having an offsite with work, right? So we come here to plan for next year, and then we're all staying in this house, and just behind there might be a bit of noise because like just behind the house is this huge hotel building, and there's helicopters come and lift up the billionaires and take them home, like so they don't have to sit in the traffic. So every few minutes you can hear a really loud helicopter behind me. So I'll try
When
and
you say lift up a billionaire, you
yeah.
make it sound like the entire rope round them. Are they in the car? They sit in the car. The helicopter lifts the car.
Yeah, that's the way they deserve to be treated, I think.
So when are you back?
Fly back on Friday.
How long have you been there?
2 weeks. Well, it will be 2 weeks this week. To be honest, I'm quite homesick. The last couple of days, I've been feeling like I can't wait to be back in Berlin, because been very tired. It's been a lot of work, but also missing the family.
Yeah.
Looking forward to getting home now, because also I've been moving around a lot. Like I'm in a hotel a couple of days, then we go to a house, then I'm in the office. You're always in a different bed, and then you can never get comfortable. It's quite noisy in Sao Paulo as well. There's always a lot of noise going on outside. There's actually people here helping us, like in the house, and they're getting ready now for a party that we're going to have tonight. So there's also a lot of noise down there. So I was trying to have a little nap actually, because we finished the offsite like an hour ago. I was trying to have a nap, could not sleep at all. So
you need the peace and quiet of Berlin.
It feels very quiet compared to Sao Paulo.
Crazy though, isn't it?
There's noise everywhere. You go on the street, the buses make lots of noise. There's noise everywhere. Yeah, it feels very quiet in Berlin compared to Sao Paulo.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, imagine you were somewhere like in some Chinese cities or wherever, like just so many people, like throngs of people, like you can never get away. But luckily in Stoke-on-Trent.
Have you got your new headphones on, Rezo? I don't see the...
No.
Why?
Because the laptop is unavailable currently.
So I bought Rezo some headphones. And what a waste of money
they are. You buy me a laptop to go with them.
Who's got the laptop?
I mean, you're just going to have to cut all this out. I explain what's happened to the laptop. So
why not? This is a great tale for the week.
Okay, so Maz has took the laptop so she can do some uni work because she's got to go see her dad who's in hospital because he's got cancer.
Oh God, that's
There you go,
way to bring down the novice audience there. But no, this does happen. This is part of life.
Yeah, fair enough. You didn't have to go into the full details, but yeah.
I tried to move away from the details.
Well, you could have given some detail, but you didn't have to go. You could have gone anyway. Well, we'll have to start a campaign now anyway for Maz's dad, because that's really sad, isn't it?
Okay.
And actually, these are the things you should tell us, because I didn't know.
Exactly. This is what we're here for. We're friends. We're here to
caring.
support you. We're here to support you through this.
Yeah. Asked twice. It's International Men's Day today. I care about your mental health, Rezo. So
I care about yours too, Potter. How is your mental health?
Not great. Thanks for asking.
Not great. I would have thought. Now you've got 1,000 Twitter followers, so I would have thought you're at the top of the world. But no, once you have 1,000, then you want 2,000, eh? That's the way of the modern world.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
Never enough likes, never enough followers. What a depressing world we live in.
I think, I can give Twitter a rest now. After you kind of set that target of the weekend, I was like,
Twitter.
I've not been on Twitter for a while. I best do some Twittering. And then
tweeting. Tweeting.
Tweeting is tweeting. Twittering is just picking up a bit of Twitter followers and stuff, isn't it? Twitter.
Oh, you know all the lingo. That's why you've got 1,000 followers. I've got 25 on my account.
Yeah, but you're really the NFLP account, aren't you?
So really. Eight. If we put them both together, I've still got less.
It's something.
Yeah, but the groundwork you've done, because to kind of up my followers, I realised I just follow your followers, and then I get a lot of followers.
Steve.
It's funny though. I said I put a tweet out like a couple of days ago, and I said, "Oh, we want to get up to 1,000 followers." I did it twice or something, and I think it boosted my account by like 6 followers in total.
The best way of doing it is just messaging other podcasters saying, "Oh, great pod," and then they come back and go, "Oh yeah, you've got a great pod too," and then it suddenly snowballed. So everyone's got a great pod, and then. But
does anyone actually think we have a good pod, or that would be good to know?
I think it's all bullshit. Yeah. Don't listen to anyone's pods. Everyone's just owning their own pods.
Only the 3 of us like this pod.
There's listeners, I think, in the world. Everyone has a podcast. No one listens to anyone else's podcast.
Just the 3 of us listen to the pod.
Their own podcast, and then then they pretend they listen to other people's podcasts, so they'll then listen to their own podcast.
And just the 3 of us actually listen to it like 10 times each. And that's about it.
We need to get a few more people being a podcaster, and then they get friends and family to listen to the pod as well. And that's how organic growth works.
By the way, we got asked to be on another podcast distributor recently, so we'll also join.
Apple.
Join there. Apple. We're already on Apple.
Spotify.
Yeah. We're already on Spotify.
What's better than Apple or Spotify?
We're on all of these. No, but then there's these companies that host podcasts and try to share them, because there's not really, for like independent podcasts, it's hard to get your podcast, even if it's in the Apple Store, it's hard to get it shown. Like a label, like a music label for podcasts. So we're already on the Grueling Truth, and then some company called Shed Media Podcast asked us also to join theirs. So we'll do that in a couple of weeks. They're launching in December, so there's a little plug for them. Novice Pardo, you didn't tell us about your week.
Oh, yeah. So what have I done this week? So like last week, because it was a Monday, we did the pod. Tuesday was date night again, because Rose was staying at the grandparents, so we managed to have a nice curry and then go watch a film at the cinema. So
did you watch?
What was it? Sorry We Missed You.
What's it about?
Have you seen that? Anything about it?
About a FedEx guy?
No, well, it's not FedEx.
Trying to be cute
surprisingly,
there,
no, because that's Castaway with Tom Hanks. This isn't, this is not a sequel to Castaway either. Before you say, but no, this is have you seen like Daniel Blake, Rez?
Oh, it's the
same
next
director
one
that did that. Yeah, so
depressing. That was depressing.
Oh, is that the unemployment one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So this is quite similar to that, in the fact that it's about this guy who's living in Newcastle or in and around Newcastle, and he's kind of given this
already.
What's wrong with Newcastle? Oh,
sorry, don't write in if you're from Newcastle. Go on, carry on.
All right. So I was just waiting to see if you were going to say any more faux pas before I continue, but no, nothing else. Okay.
Nothing else.
So it's about this guy who's bit down his luck, been going from job to job, and then he's kind of desperately signed up to this 0-hour contract with this courier company.
Oh, that curry must have been going down well. While you're watching this.
Yeah, I had a good curry, and then no, it was good. I thought it was really good, but yeah, it's one of those films that you watch and it's a bit too real. You know what I mean?
Bleak. But this director always makes bleak films, right? Who is it? It's Ken Russell? Ken Loach. Ken Loach.
Coronation Street.
Yeah, so anyway, I thought it was all right, and it just gets you a bit riled up because it is quite raw, and it is the reality for a lot of people having to live in these kind of day-to-day, not being able to kind of take a sick day or anything like that. The guy gets run over and mugged, and he still has to go in the next day, otherwise he loses his shift and just loses all the money that he has for like his saving up for a mortgage and paying off his van that he has to have to kind of do the rounds and stuff. So it's pretty hardcore, and it's a bit
disgraceful,
with the election coming up.
Tough how some people have to live. I really feel. What can we do for the podcast? I mean, we do cheer people up. just by making this and distributing it free of charge. But what else can we do for people? Just raising awareness is probably good, right?
Yep.
So if you're in a privileged position, you can maybe stop these things and get people full-time contracts where they have security, all this kind of stuff.
One of the things, hitting 1,000, followers on Twitter today. I don't know whether I mentioned that before, but as it's International Men's Day as well, I am donating to Calm, the campaign.
I thought you were going to say £2. I am going to donate £2.
An undisclosed fee is being donated to
I thought you were going to say 2 followers.
Campaign against living miserably.
How much is it? How much are you going to do? Don't undisclose it because it's cheap. You're being cheap. It's going to be £10, isn't it?
No, it's more than £10.
Is it £20?
No, more than that.
Is it £21?
No.
Just tell us. Give £50, Pardo.
Yeah, how much is it per follower?
Huh?
£50?
Yeah, £50.
We'll go crazy, Pardo.
Yeah, £50. Well, it would be better if we were, properly funded that I could donate £1,000, but I haven't got that kind of money. £50 is a good, middle ground, I reckon, because £10 is probably, that's a nice division of 1,000, but probably too low of a division. 50's a good whack, I reckon.
I think that's very kind of you. Well done.
Yeah.
I'm just working out how much this is per follower. It's 20 pence per follower. 20.36 pence per follower.
That's all right.
Reasonable. For the amount of effort you have to put in to get a follower, Steve, you know as much as anyone.
Yeah, you're going to donate 20 pence per follower that you've got on. Where?
Who to? To Pardo to give him some money back.
Yeah.
To Calm, that's a UK charity. I'm more international.
Okay.
What international charity are you going to give to?
The campaign for being miserable. I'm going to give it to the opposite.
Well, let's start our own charity.
Let's do that.
Charity, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. NFLP, the Not for Long Poverty Charity.
I thought you were going to say Not for Long Pod.
No, episode 14 this is, so we've been around for quite a while. Does anyone want to talk about NFL?
Yeah. No. Oh, well.
This is more fun than the NFL.
How are we doing on predictions last week? Because you were quite gloating in...
I think I won.
Well, you did win, because we had the exact same, apart from 3. And the 3 were ones that I went a bit left field on.
Left field. Go on.
Well, I backed the Cardinals against the 49ers. But it was at the 49ers, don't forget. So it was a slight... And I backed the Lions over the Cowboys.
A couple of hard overhead games there for you. Hard overhead picks, for sure.
HOH, yeah. And then Jaguars. What's happened to the Jaguars? Because I backed the...
As you said, Minshew magic has gone away. That's what you tweeted.
Overall, I think, compared to last week, this week was a lot more straightforward. Because last week, easy, wasn't it? Whereas this week seemed pretty much to go how you would expect. A couple of results. Yeah,
the big surprise for me, big surprise, but one that stood out was Panthers against Falcons. Panthers at home. Up until last week.
Falcons, Pardo. Falcons, isn't it? Falcons.
Falcons. Yeah.
Falcons.
Falcons.
Falcon.
Interesting pronunciation of Falcons there, Pardo. When we come from the same place, so I'm surprised.
Your accents all over the place these days, isn't it?
It's an interesting pronunciation of a pronunciation. Well, the Falcons beat the Saints last week, was a surprise, and then beating the Panthers maybe not as much of a surprise, but.
No, but I actually thought that was a one-off beating the Saints, and I thought they would lose again this week, but then. They seem to really they destroyed the Panthers. It was 29-3 in the end to the Falcons or the Falcons.
Just a little too late. The Panthers obviously there's no Cam Newton now, is there? So,
but Kyle Allen didn't do too well in this game.
4 interceptions, no touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So that's not the best, is it really?
So what's going on there? What do you think they're gonna do with Kyle Allen? Do you think his time is numbered and they're gonna go back to Cam Newton, or do you think Cam Newton will move on and then they draft a quarterback in the next draft, or what do you reckon?
I don't think they'll move. I think they might have to try and go after a quarterback a bit more in the draft than they might have done, but I don't think they'll. I think they'll move on from the coaching staff.
Oh yeah, I think Riverboat Ron's days are numbered, aren't they? Ron Rivera. I think his days are numbered because they have an owner who joined was it a year ago or 2 years ago? He bought the Panthers, and I think he's given them a chance, but I think he'll do a wholesale changes. He made his billions in the stock market, so I think he's someone who won't be putting up with the lack of success for too long.
No, and they're 5-5. They're not going to catch the Saints. The Saints won this week. So it's for the wild card, which they probably won't get. So especially and even if they do, what they're going to do without Cam Newton. So
yeah. Novice Pardo, you got your finger up? What do you want to say?
Yeah, that's Rezol's technique from last week. I was just remembering it. But also, I've just been on CambridgeDictionary.com.
Mm-hmm.
Pronunciation for Falcon.
Falcon.
Yeah. Well, listen to this. Falcon.
I can't hear anything.
That was you saying it.
Yeah, you are US accent. I mean pronunciation. Steve and Rezol. I don't know whether Yorkshire is kind of the origin of the US accent. I mean, if you talk about the Millennium Falcon, I always say Millennium Falcon, but
so you actually do. You agree? You do say that is the Falklands Island. It's nothing to do with the Falcon. It's not.
No, I know, but that's the main thing I say when you say Falcon, isn't it?
How do you say defense?
How do you say falconry, Steve? Do you naturally say falconry or falconry?
Yeah, falconry sounds about right actually, but I would say falconry. But you're right, a falconry actually sounds.
Don't worry, I've posted the link to dictionary.cambridge. I think that'll be the conclusive evidence of.
I accept the Oxford English Dictionary's definition.
Oh right, someone backs Oxford in the boat race. Fair enough.
But if you're talking about,
but I suppose the good thing is we're covering both audiences of the US and UK by our associations that we both do,
and Stoke-on-Trent. And guys, there was something I wanted to ask you actually, Pardo, more to you. Are you enjoying our new logo and our new livery or livery? I'm not sure on the pronunciation of that one either. Are you enjoying the new logo? We've changed, just so if you haven't seen the new logo, we've gone from the pink and blue livery to a beautiful mint and grey livery, and we've added the picture of Internet Rezol on there. I think it's beautiful. Yeah.
Have you not seen it, Rez?
No.
Do you not download the podcast? Do you not if you get the podcast from any podcast place, Spotify, whatever, you can see on the podcast logo there's a picture of Internet Rezol in the middle.
I haven't seen a picture myself. I haven't. No.
Okay. I did it on Saturday. I did a brand refresh.
Oh, weird. I re-downloaded them all. So.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at it now. Yeah, I mean, the brand refresh seems like it's still in the process of refreshing, but that's fine. So the logo, as I see it on Apple Podcasts, I think that's the final version, isn't it? That version.
Yes. Yeah.
I've just seen it. I could sum this up for you, Pardo. I've just seen it, and Steve's done what Steve always does. He's got a great picture of himself, got a terrible picture of you, and a terrible picture of me. Standard.
No, I think it shows our personalities.
Doesn't matter what colour
he's got a professional photograph of himself. Mine's a selfie, and yours is one taken on Baz's Nokia.
I didn't even know the picture's been taken. It's on a 9-year-old iPhone while I was leaning against a car waiting to go for a look like. I didn't even know he's taking a picture. But that's my face for the entire world. Well, Steve's got his special glamour shot done. Where he's had a makeup art. Have you got makeup on? Yes or no?
That was done by a professional photographer in my old work, yeah. But
You should make
I'm
a
actually,
makeup.
I just recently had some more professional pictures done in my new workplace. So we can use that to update the pod in the future.
Can't wait.
No, from now on, me and Pardo are doing the livery, and we're putting our own photos on.
Steve did ask, as I was reaching the 1,000 followers, whether I'd take over Twitter. But my response was, I want final say on logo. He didn't respond.
Oh no, you're not having anything to do with the logo. These small tweaks will lead to organic growth. This logo, I think, is beautiful. I've got to say, but I would love to hear what the audience thinks. So feel free to give us some feedback. Anyway, should we move back to the NFL games?
Oh yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the Jaguars game actually, because you bet the Jaguars would win, Pardo, and that was our tough to call game. But then the Colts won. It was Jaguars 13, Colts 33. I actually, when you put the Jaguars to win, I Googled, is Jacoby Brissett back in the starting lineup? And it said he was. So that was a clear vote for the Colts there. I thought with Nick Foles coming in, rusty, being back from his injury, and Jacoby Brissett, obviously he was injured for a couple of weeks, but Brissett just seems to really make that team work, the Colts. So I thought that was an easy win for the Colts, even though it was a tough to call game.
Yeah, what was on the ground though? They had 200+ yard runners.
They have Marlon Mack, who he's having a very good season.
Marlon Mack, yeah.
Are we going to talk about that Browns Steelers incident?
Oh,
the Browns?
Because it was Thursday, I kind of forgot about
ages
that.
ago.
You know?
Yeah.
Feels a long time ago, but yeah, we should talk about that. What were your thoughts on it, Pardo?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of saw it, the highlights been going around the internet. Everyone's had their say on it. Samuel Jackson.
You've been hitting the head with worse things than a helmet. I mean, you've been hitting the head with many.
Mainly a fist, yeah.
You've been hitting the head with many helmets in your time, I think.
Helmets? Why helmets?
Trying to be rude.
Oh, right.
Easy one. Yeah, go on. What were you saying? You were being serious. Go on.
Can't remember what I was saying now.
Many people have had their say on it. Samuel L. Jackson. Who else? Madonna.
Madonna.
She's probably tweeted about it. Has she?
No. There was another surprising tweet by who was it? NFL star from the 80s. Got sent away. Famous court case. O.J.
Simpson.
He tweeted about it and said it was unfair that the actual guy that started it didn't get brought up in any of the kind of after NFL kind of suspensions. He's not been mentioned at all since the incident. But the guy who actually, because it started out by a tussle on the floor. Quarterback got sacked, tried to take the helmet off the person that sacked him.
And apparently kicked him in the scrotum as well, people are saying.
And what you don't see. And then obviously from that he's reacted, got the helmet off the guy, but what he did next by actually smacking him in the head with the helmet was, bang out of order, isn't it?
I have to say...
Have you seen anything like that in all your years of watching NFL?
Never seen anything like
that.
I've
not seen anything like it in all the months I've seen
it. Mason Rudolph, the quarterback that actually, instigated it, seems like a real dick, to be honest. I mean, what he said afterwards as well, like not even admitting, okay, maybe I instigated this and blah, blah, blah. To me, it just seems so sheepish. And apparently he's a make America great again, big Trump supporter, a bit of, this kind of guy. So I think there's a bit of bad blood there anyway. But still, what Myles Garrett did, it was bad. As soon as that happened, I mean, you just think, what is he doing? And this guy's supposed to be, even though he's had some kind of dirty plays this year, and there's been some incidences where he's gone a bit too over the top. I mean, he broke Trevor Simeon's ankle, the backup quarterback of the Jets, because he landed on top of him after sacking him. But there's been a few dirty plays that people have referenced in the season. But I think, I mean, come on, you can't. He lost his head. He totally lost his head, and you can't do this. I mean, really, he could have really, really hurt the guy. But luckily, it landed on top of his head with the soft part of the helmet, right? Did you see it? So it wasn't actually the hard part of the helmet.
It's interesting. And then the reaction of
the Steelers players, they were kicking him, punching
him in the head, and all sorts.
Yeah,
far worse in a way. But obviously, it's reaction to someone getting hit in the head with a helmet. So.
And it's a shame because this guy Myles Garrett seems like off the field seems like a very, very nice guy. He's into his poetry. Seems like a nice, calm guy, and then on the field he seems to be an absolute animal. So this is probably what happens. Sometimes these NFL players, they have to really hit the switch and change into a totally different person to play the sport, because it's obviously a pretty brutal sport to play. I thought as soon as this incident happened, as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's him until next season. He's done. But I was surprised that the other people involved didn't get more serious punishment. But people were saying that this guy Pouncey, who was kicking and punching him, this is a normal reaction when someone sort of does this to your quarterback, because his job is to protect them. But still, I think everyone should have got a bit of punishment there. And yeah, but I've never seen anything like it. But it was, there was a real uproar on Friday morning in Europe when that was kind of seen. It was took over Twitter.
I think he'd be suspended indefinitely. I think
that's what they said.
Yeah, I don't think he'll play again.
Again in his whole career? No, come on.
Not in the NFL. That's not honest.
He will.
You don't it is such a violent sport, but you don't see this stuff.
He's got XFL written all over his future.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This guy, Kareem Hunt, who's playing for the Browns, was videoed kicking and punching a woman in a hotel, and he's back playing the sport.
It's not on the pitch. It's not on the pitch. Different.
I mean, you are a role model to millions of people.
It just exposes the NFL franchise, doesn't it? If they don't go down hard on that.
Yeah.
Tricky.
I think it might be.
I think he'll be back next season. But he just on Twitter, it was like he was catching a flight to New York, and I think he's going for an appeal to the new NFL head office. But I mean, I don't think there's anything to appeal there. Maybe they've just called him to hear his testimony or something like that, because I don't think there's any way. I mean, for sure he should be gone for the season, and we shouldn't see him till next season. But maybe you're right, Internet Result. Maybe there's more punishment to come. And by the way, that game was Steelers 7. And the Browns 21 in the end. So it kind of marred the whole game, because you kind of forget even the result, and it was basically
it felt like Browns lost
that
game because they got such bad PR from it.
Yeah, and it really, I think that will devastate the team a bit. They're already having a bad season. They're 4-6, the record, and they're having not the best season, and they looked like devastated after it, because Myles Garrett is their one of their best players and the pass rusher who has the most impact there. So that's going to be a huge blow for them. Let's see. They seem to have a lack of discipline all the way through the team this season. So interesting to see where the Browns go from here.
Well, I've just looked now. According to CNN, this was yesterday, he's appealing an indefinite suspension. So it's 6 games minimum, but if it goes through and he's found, it can be indefinite. So he could be out. But it could be it. It could be forever.
Yeah, but I don't know. The NFL seem to do these. I mean, usually once it's forgotten, they have to come down harsh. But they tend not to. People tend to always come back into the game.
Yeah. Well, the appeal's on Wednesday, so we'll see.
Oh, that's why he was flying there tonight. Yeah. All right. Anything else to add on that topic?
What, on NFL or Browns?
On the Browns and that Myles Garrett incident.
Well, I mean, they won and that's good, but it just overshadowed, isn't it? Like totally
sad. Next game? Which one?
Rez?
Let's cheer ourselves up.
Ravens Texans?
The Ravens Texans, yes.
My shirt arrived.
Oh, really? Oh, it must have been your complaint last week that got it through.
Exactly. So my wife sent a picture of it. I'm looking forward to wearing it when I get back. But the Ravens are taking this by storm. I mean, I did a Twitter poll before the game to see who's going to win this one. Deshaun Lamar or Lamar. It was, I think, 60%, just over 60% went went for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to win. But there was still it was the biggest Twitter poll we've had, almost 50 respondents to that Twitter poll. And still a good 30, a third of the people went for the Texans to win. But myself, I was going for the Ravens, of course. And clearly a huge win for the Ravens. It was Texans 7, Ravens 41 in the end, and the Ravens go to 8-2.
Yeah, because it was meant to be the big matchup of quarterbacks, wasn't it? But yeah,
because they played in college as well. They played in when Lamar was playing for Louisville, I believe, and Deshaun was actually one of the best schools, Clemson.
Well, I mean the Texans didn't score until the fourth quarter. It would have been 41 zip to them, but like it was a rushing touchdown, so Deshaun Watson didn't get a touchdown. But Lamar Jackson, four touchdowns, 86 yards, just becoming better and better. It's got to be MVP of the season.
Yeah. Did you see that interview with Ingram after the game, where he's pretty much announcing Lamar Jackson?
Saw a nice retweet for you on that one, Pardo. You did a little retweet on that.
Yeah, if you want to see it, then it's on the Twitter page at Novice Pardo.
But he has to be the front. He has to be the front runner for MVP.
He's got to be. He's got to be. He's a standout player. I mean, from what I've been watching it since week 3, from the first weekend of watching games, he's been the standout player. Yeah, above and beyond anyone else that I've kind of been watching. So says a lot. It just it crosses people who don't know so much about the game that he's something special, isn't he, Lamar Jackson?
He's he is by far odds-on favourite to win the MVP.
But this is just these are the this is the mini leagues playing out, ready for the playoffs.
Little leagues.
Oh, mini? Did I say mini league rather than little league?
Yeah.
Well, mini league, little league. I don't know. I might just call them divisions or whatever they're actually called.
Now you get into the proper wordiology. Hey, by the way,
well, playoffs are what going to make a MVP or not, and winning the Super Bowl.
No. This is they have an MVP for the regular season, and then they have a Super Bowl MVP, basically.
Well, if I'm gonna go for MVP, it's got to be Super Bowl rather than regular.
But that's usually just the best player in the Super Bowl game. But that's the
real. Right. So what about the playoffs then? So.
No, because too many teams obviously aren't in there and they all get knocked out. So it's just
so it's all about the stats, isn't it?
I mean, usually you're not gonna usually be the MVP unless you get your team to the playoffs, because it would have been hand in hand that you've been the best player because you've got your team there. But I must say the Ravens Twitter account, their social media is the best team social media, I think. They did a great video today of Mark Ingram sliding in the. They do these videos of the week. And they had a great one of Mark Ingram sliding when he did a touchdown against the Texans. And then they took him sliding and then they put him in all these different scenarios like in the video. And it's pretty funny. So check it out. But they seem to have the best social media. So they win my social media award.
Social media of the season, regular season or Super Bowl?
They are my social media MVPs, and they also have the front runner for the MVP. But we'll give a little award out at the end of the year when the regular season is over.
So it's changed.
Go on, Russ.
Sorry, it's changed the. It's even changed his sort of play and his ability, and obviously it's not just him. It's changed everything. The Ravens are now third in the odds to win the Super Bowl behind the Patriots and the Saints. They've
what
come
about the
from
49ers? They're not up there either.
It's too early to say who the favorite for the Super Bowl is because it's you need to see who's in the play. I mean, of course they'll be.
I can't believe the Saints are second in that. Are they second after Patriots?
Yeah, but they would have to obviously.
Five. What's the top 5?
Top 5.
Yeah.
I've only got the top 3. You'll have to wait a minute.
What was the top 3 again?
Patriots, Saints, and Ravens. But you have to bear in mind who they'll have to play. Obviously, the Saints are not in the same big league as
The guys, some more games just to gloss over while Rezol's looking at that. The Raiders are having a nice little season. They've snuck up to 6-4, but they did beat the Bengals, who are 0-10, so they've lost every single game this season. It's just embarrassing.
Shame.
But 17-10 away. No, it was at the Raiders, that one. So the Raiders won 17-10. And then a close game was actually... Do you want to say something about that game, Bardo? But I was going to say a close game was the Broncos versus the Vikings, which was 23-27.
That's the one I wanted to talk about, actually.
Yeah, because you have a soft spot for the Vikings, I've noticed over these few weeks.
Well, last week they were part of the travel, so I kept an eye on Vikings, and actually, half-time, they were 20-0. Broncos were up 20-0, and then the Vikings came back.
Scored 20 points in the fourth quarter. They scored, and the Broncos scored 0 points.
Yeah. So that was the best comeback in the NFL for 5 years.
Wow. Is it the magic of Kirk Cousins, or is it the magic of the travel segment? What do you think?
I'd like to say it's the travel, but more than likely it was Kirk Cousins. I'll admit it.
Yeah. But it's got, your travel segment has a bit of magic, though, because I think pretty much, apart from your cop-out last week when you went to New York, so it could have been either team.
Well, last week was Vikings, and then
the week before.
Previous week, actually, the Jets were the home team, so that's where the travel goes to. Jets won.
But it was New York. It could have been either way. If the Giants won, you would have said, oh, yeah, but it was in New York. It was the Giants versus the Jets, but we'll take it. And actually, some of the listeners of the pod messaged us and said, "Oh, great travel segment." They were talking about the Mall of America that's in Minneapolis. That's the town, right, or the city?
Well, someone has actually come back and said, "Good travel segment." Can't believe.
Someone listened to it and said that was a good travel segment.
Ironically, I think
because my wife was talking about. She's just started a new job, so she was just talking to her colleagues about, me doing a podcast, and they said, "Oh yeah, well he does a travel segment, but he's never actually been to the place." Then she's inviting some people around before Christmas, and they're saying, "Well, I'll come, but only on the premise that your husband doesn't talk about his pod or anything to do with his travel segment." So I think she's kind of undersold it a bit, but.
And they also requested that you stay in your office.
I think I'll just stay.
Do not come out.
Yeah, don't. Me and Bernard.
We should do a live podcast while they're there. Get them on the pod. Real novices.
How dare they say that?
Yeah, I can't believe it.
How dare they say that? Have they even bothered to listen to it? Maybe if they listen to it, they might be saying, "Oh, please, we want your husband to tell us about the travel segment."
There's people that claim that they don't have time to listen to the pod. They're too busy.
They don't have an hour spare in the week.
That's why
I would like to know.
That's why I've introduced the Behind the Curtain series.
Listen, what I would like to know is what sort of places you started working where you work there a few days, you invite someone round, and they're like, "Well, we'll come, but as long as your husband doesn't talk to us about any flight." What sort of people is she
about
his
his hobbies,
podcast,
the things he loves to do, about the things he's most passionate about.
Maybe working in education, you get, I'm not in the real world of business. Is this what business is like? Right, we're coming round, but here's a list of topics. Keep your husband on a leash.
Well, Pardo, Internet Result, it's a bit status driven because I believe I'm not going to say the name because we're an independent podcast, but she works for a very high, very fancy car brand, I believe.
Oh, good job you're not mentioning car brands like Audi that you mention every.
Oh yeah, it could be part of the family.
All right, it's Bentley. Is it Bentley? Pardo does not get a free Bentley with this, as you can tell. That's why he's still struggling with the TT.
Found your odds for you. So, Patriots, odds on favourite. Then it is actually on this one, it is the Ravens next. And the Saints are basically the same. So, Patriots, Ravens, Saints. Then the 49ers, Chiefs, Packers, Seahawks, Vikings, Cowboys.
Okay. You want to talk about the Chiefs game last night? Did anyone see the highlights of this or stay up to watch it? It was 24-17 to the Chiefs against the Chargers. And the Chiefs moved to a 7-4 record, and the Chargers go to a 4-7 record. I saw some tweets today after this game, people saying they're kind of sick of Philip Rivers now. But since I started watching the NFL, I've not found him very, very good, to be honest. But I know, like, people have said for the last 15 years or something that he's been one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. I just haven't seen it since I've been watching the last few seasons. Rezel, you've been watching NFL longer. Do you want to talk about Philip Rivers a little bit?
I mean, he came through. He's sort of intrinsically linked with Drew
Eli
Brees.
Manning. Or what? No, he was in the same draft class as Eli Manning and
Ben
Roethlisberger.
Sorry. Yeah, with Eli Manning. Sorry, no, I don't know why I said. Yeah, so they traded him to the Chargers. New York did, to get Eli Manning. And yeah, I don't know if I've ever got it either. Really, maybe it was slightly before I watched, but he didn't. I think he seemed very steady. I feel like he's a bit like who's at the Detroit Lions, Matt Stafford. Like, you know, obviously
don't bring good Stafford into the conversation. Pardo's hero. I would say Stafford is better.
What's Stafford's injury looking like this week, actually? Because he's missed again at the weekend. Stafford.
I think he's going to be out again.
But it's that sort of player where they like obviously a very good player, but not like, you know, breathtaking or exciting or game changing. So I've never seen it personally.
Game changing. You've not seen last few minutes of a Lions game?
No,
talking about Philip Rivers. No,
Rivers.
Chargers quarterback. But I mean, you've got to have the Chargers with Philip Rivers ever been to the later stages of the playoffs or anything like that, Rezo? What's been the record? Because that's also, yeah, you can have great players, but they have to get some success at some point, right? Especially after you have a 15-plus year career.
It's early sort of, well, not early, middle 2000s, so 2006, 7, 8, 9, went to the postseason every year, and then 2013, and then 2008.
And so, did they just get to the wild card game? Did they win a playoff game? What did it say?
Well, 2007 was the best. It was the best when they played three. Yeah, ended up playing 3 games. The best they ever did, 2007, when they got to the championship game.
That's pretty good.
Through the wild card. So they were, and then they lost to New England, who then lost to the Giants.
Eli Manning. How interlinked? As you started the whole.
Yeah, with the wrong quarterback. But yeah, so they've been good. It's a bit like Stafford. Like there's a few seasons where he felt like he could win them a Super Bowl, and then didn't do the job, and will never do the job. Harder.
It's tricky because I think they missed him, and I think they're not that far away. They've been very close with a lot of games. They were close again at the weekend against Cowboys. And the Cowboys are lauded as a very good team, and they've been underperforming actually. And I think Lions have been a bit unlucky, and yeah, their league as well is trickier than a lot of the others. You know, they got Packers, Vikings, Bears. You know, I think historically they've suffered by having such strong other teams within their division.
But Stafford's had the same. Stafford's had 3 playoffs 3 times, not won a game. Lost all 3 games as soon as they got to the playoffs. And they've had some decent teams and better teams than they have now. I mean, like you say, it's not his fault, is it? But it's the same thing. It's someone who's not going to be able to maybe give you that extra.
I mean, I think his throwing game is fantastic, but I think, his mobility probably lets him down. And, you know, when you see this new era, well, I'll call it new era, but what I see are these younger players coming through at quarterback, a lot more mobile, and it's just a lot more trickery around them, I suppose. But as I say, Stafford is a good steady Eddie. You know what you're going to get, and he's committed, and he's loyal. How long has he stayed with the Lions for?
No wonder you like him. You just described yourself. All right, and that you were talking about the Cowboys-Lions game. That game was actually
slamming response.
The Cowboys was 35, and the Lions scored 27. So the Cowboys won that, moved to 6-4, and the Lions, sadly, on 3-6-1 record. Who did they draw against? It was the Cardinals, wasn't it, at the beginning of the season? Yeah.
You know how many children do you think Philip Rivers has got, Pardo?
He's got... Oh, I just ruined it. Go on, Pardo.
6 or 7, depending on how Steve pronounces
7.
6 or 7. Is it sacks?
He's got 9.
Oh, he's got 9.
How do you say
9?
9 kids. That's amazing.
9.
Who has them?
9. Oh, right. So you didn't even know. You're just coming out with it. Oh, right.
Thought, 7.
So you did ruin it. Yeah, you did ruin it because I couldn't even guess properly.
Exactly, I did ruin it. And how many? Who has the most kids? Is it Fitzpatrick or is it Philip Rivers?
I don't know. Why has Fitzpatrick got a lot of kids?
He's got a lot of kids as well, apparently. Yeah. How do you have? I think Philip Rivers is younger than us, and he's had 9 kids in that time.
Yeah,
but I guess when you're a millionaire,
4 months in the year, aren't they? Just crack on for the rest of the year.
Fitzpatrick's got 7.
That's where I got the 7 from. Fitzmagic. Yeah, you're right, Pardo. They work for 4 months of the year and then just pop kids out for the rest. Just
they got so much money. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just get the help to sort them out and bring them up.
Their poor wives.
Yeah.
9 kids. Ooh.
Those poor nannies.
Yeah. Any other games you want to talk about? We had the Bills had a nice victory against the Dolphins, ended their little streak, and the Bills won 37-20. The Jets beat the Redskins 34-17. The Saints got back to winning ways after getting beaten by the Falcons 34-17.
Yeah.
We had the Patriots with a nice little win over the Eagles. The Eagles put up a decent defense there, but they won. The Patriots won 17-10, moved to a 9-1 record. Eagles are sitting precariously on 5-5 record at the moment. And the Rams got back to winning ways against the Bears. They won 17-7, and the Rams moved to a 6-4 record. The Bears' season looks pretty much over. With such high hopes for the Bears at the start of this season, people think you're talking about them winning the Super Bowl, and now they sit with a 4-6 record, pretty much the season over.
Yeah, but that's the problem with all this, isn't it? You got like the Eagles second in their division with 5-5, and then you got the Bears, completely season over, and they're third in their division just because they're with the Packers and the Vikings. They're 8-2 and 8-3 respectively.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, the Eagles. The Eagles' really real competition is the Cowboys in their little league. And
they play each other over and over again, don't they? So because Giants and Redskins have been just woeful, they just got a free ride to the playoffs.
Sometimes it works like that. Life is unfair, eh? Any games you're looking forward to next week?
Seahawks, Eagles, Attack of the Birds. That could be a good game. Eagles are at home. Cowboys, Patriots, but
Packers, 49ers.
Yeah, that's the number one game. They're towards the bottom of the list, so I got to them near the end. Yeah, Packers, 49ers. Yeah.
Your Lions might get a victory next week because they've got the Redskins.
I purposely didn't mention that because I don't want to be overly Lions, but yeah.
Colts, Texans, tough to call game, you think?
Are Texans at home?
Texans at home, yeah. Both on 6-4 records. Texans at home.
That's the Friday game as well. Thursday night game, sorry.
And we don't usually predict for that one.
No, we're ahead of the game, aren't we?
Prediction list.
I put it in a decent copy and paste format as well, so it helps you getting out there for that
Thanks
game.
Thanks for that.
It's all right. Take on feedback.
I've not been concentrating because I've got a bit obsessed with how many kids people have got. So I think you need to do a travel segment on San Diego. Antonio Cromartie, who retired a few years ago.
Yeah.
So he's a cornerback mainly for the San Diego Chargers. 14 children. 14!
San Diego.
I have to say, this is a bit of a gripe, actually, that the Chargers fans have, because the Chargers, Pardo, used to be in San Diego. So you might not know this as a novice, but they used to be called the San Diego Chargers, and then they relocated a couple of seasons ago to Los Angeles. But Philip Rivers
It's a shame.
is still...
San Diego would be a really nice place to visit on travel.
And
Especially
apparently...
with their Anchorman background.
Exactly, and apparently, I mean, they still have very loyal fans in San Diego, and they were really upset when obviously the team moved. But apparently, the ownership hate the fans of San Diego or the city of San Diego. There's some very bad blood there, so they wanted to get away from the city. But the fans really are really annoyed with Philip Rivers because he never relocated his family. So he drives every day to from San Diego to LA apparently, which I don't know is probably a good few hours. Rizal, you want to have a quick look on your internet?
He don't get lifted up by a helicopter.
No, he does not. He's got 9 kids to feed.
He can't be wasting his
money. Can't be wasting his money on helicopters to get to work.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, you can't move them all because you probably leave one behind. It'd be like Home Alone 5 or something.
Bardo's reading a book. He's distracting me. He's got a book of the USA.
I mean, I've just realised that I've been doing weeks of this travel segment. I've got this Rough Guys USA. I've not used it once. Anyway, it's a gold mine. Hold on.
Shall we do the travel segment? Are we ready?
Yeah.
All right, go on then.
Hello, Cincinnati.
Oh, that's a big one. So you are basically putting your hat behind the Bengals to win next week. Very interesting.
The Bengals.
Wow. Bold. I love it.
And extremely bold considering I've been concentrating so much of my efforts on Twitter today to get my followers to over 1,000 that I've not prepped for the travel, not knowing when we were going to start the pod. But I have got some content on travel. And Cincinnati, it's been a long time coming. It had to be done.
Good week to pick, though, actually, because they've got the Steelers at home.
They're playing the Steelers. Steelers, they're on the ropes a bit. They've probably been looking forward to this Bengals game to, really
I don't think much of their quarterback, Mason Rudolph. But anyway, we're talking about the Bengals here, and Cincinnati in particular. Go on.
And Cincinnati's one of those towns that, I mean, it's quite a small town actually, and it surprises me that they're not one of those teams that are, they probably should be called the Ohio Bengals rather than the Cincinnati Bengals. But then again,
it's a very old team, isn't it?
Yeah, Cincinnati. It must be because you've got the Browns also that are in Ohio State as well.
Cincinnati, I heard, is a very cool place, quite hipstery.
It's reasonably cool. None of the sources that I've seen on the internet, and I'm wary of these things now after our feedback from the other week after my faux pas with Houston. But, I could be still right on that because they were wrong about the golf. And did they come back on that, Steve, actually?
No, I'll actually message that person now and tell him about the golf thing. You carry on and I'll do that.
Yeah, fine. So anyway, Cincinnati, it shares the same state as Cleveland, and the capital is Columbus, which is weird, and the biggest city in the state. But so you got
where Columbus Crew is from? The Columbus Crew Football Club.
Yeah, I think when I did the Browns a fair few weeks ago, I think
we talked about
that same thing. Yeah, I accepted that. Yeah, Columbus Crew were, and actually they do have a Cincinnati Major League team as well, FC Cincinnati. Very adventurous. Also, the other major sports team is baseball, and they're called the Cincinnati Reds. So not very adventurous with their other names, but I guess the Bengals is actually almost. I think that's why they've been over adventurous with calling them the Bengals and giving them those weird tiger helmets. Well, it's the Bengal helmets, but I think they're a bit
Tigers. Was there a famous tiger there in the zoo many years
I
ago?
suppose
Or something?
Bengal is the home of the tiger, isn't it? Yeah, that's
Hmm.
it. That's how it works. But yeah, it's based in the south of Ohio, bordering Kentucky, um, next to the Ohio River, actually. And it's got lots of 19th century architecture, includes the Finley Market.
Is
You know,
Kentucky a state? Kentucky.
yeah,
Because I'm
Kentucky State, yeah.
very confused about American geography, to be honest. Kentucky
Yeah.
is a state. Okay. Kentucky
Yeah.
Fried Chicken. It's a state.
Well, Kentucky Fried Chicken is a franchise. Kentucky is a state. Um, but yeah, I've actually got maps open, actually, Google Maps, because that is always useful to look at. So yeah, it's got Kentucky to the south, West Virginia to the west, and yeah, Indiana. So not far from Indianapolis. And who's based in Indianapolis? Is that
The Colts.
Colts? Yeah, and I was close to you choosing the Colts. So there's quite a few teams in that region. I think that's the historic kind of birthplace of the NFL, to be fair, around these areas. You know, you've got a
Isn't
lot
the
of old
Hall of
teams
Fame
there.
is there, right? Canton, Ohio is the Hall of Fame, which is the birthplace of NFL, apparently.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think there's we maybe should do a segment a bit about the history. There's a good kind of video I watched when I was first kind of, you know, in that first week of being a novice. That was very insightful, and I thought, oh, I'll park that. I'll save that. But then I never went back to it. But maybe I'll look at that again because it's great at the time, but then I didn't have much context around it, so it'd be good to go back on that. Film set in Cincinnati. Can you think of a film set around there?
Ooh,
Sleepless in Cincinnati.
But there is one famous
that was what
film.
came into my head, Rezo.
What was that? Sleepless in Cincinnati.
A famous film is set there. Is it Leatherheads?
No, all right, I'll give you a clue. It's got Tom Cruise in it.
Top Gun. Days of Thunder.
No,
Cocktail.
no.
The
Rain Man.
Rain Man.
Oh,
Rain Man.
Rain
We have a
Man.
winner.
I was gonna go for the one where you can't handle the truth. What's that called?
Oh, A Few Good Men.
Yes, that one. I would have been
Jack
wrong anyway. Carry on.
Yeah, you would have been wrong, but it would have been a good one. But yeah, so that was based there. That had Dustin Hoffman in as well. But I don't really remember much about it. But yeah, anyway, that was an interesting fact. Top things to do in Cincinnati. Number one is the art museum. It's got a thriving craft culture there, so it has
Craft
got
beer.
that hipster edge
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got the Roebling suspension bridge, very much similar to the Clifton suspension bridge
In Bristol.
in Bristol, but not as high up. So yeah, probably the Clifton one's better.
Well, yes,
There's
for
a zoo.
sure. Oh,
yeah.
Rezo jumping in on the travel
Bloody
segment
hell,
with his.
he's jumping ahead on the. Were you on the internet, Rez?
Well, no, because I looked for the Bengals came around because they were really proud that in the late 30s, early 40s. So there was for a few years there was a mega football team called Bengals who disbanded, and then
Well, that's probably it. Yeah, okay.
the guy made the Browns.
Yeah.
He founded the Browns, and then they moved, and then he founded the Bengals. But the reason it's Bengals because they had a very famous white Bengali tiger in the zoo.
I said that would be the case. See, the start of the travel segment.
Yeah, and
Must be
this
the
is
case.
it because number one place to go is the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden, and that must have been where they had the Bengal tiger.
Yeah.
Number two is the Great American Ballpark, and let's choose one at random. The American Sign Museum. That's number five. Number five. Sign, not sign.
I wanted to say I think I said it last time, but when we talked about Cleveland, and I said, aren't the National from that area? And they are from Cincinnati, it tells me on Anything to add about? Gotta say, it sounds really boring in Cincinnati so far.